The lights of Los Angeles glowed softly against the twilight sky, wrapping the city in gold and silver. Crowds gathered around the famous America's Got Talent theater, their excitement humming like electricity in the air. In the middle of that sea of people stood a young Filipino boy, maybe 17 or 18, holding an old guitar that had seen better days. His jacket shimmered faintly under the neon lights, a white vintage outfit inspired by Elvis Presley himself. It wasn't expensive, just something he and his mother had stitched together back home in the Philippines. But to him, it wasn't just clothing, it was his dream stitched into fabric. His name was Miguel. Back in his small coastal town, he was known as the Elvis Kid. He had grown up listening to his father sing, "Can't Help Falling in Love," under the warm glow of kerosene lamps when the power would go out. His father's voice used to fill their little home, and that was where his dream began. But when his father passed away, the song stopped. Until Miguel decided to carry that voice forward. Standing now before the massive AGT Theater, his hands trembled slightly, but his heart burned with purpose. He wasn't here just to sing, he was here to keep his father's promise alive. As he looked up at the glittering sign that read America's Got Talent, his reflection blinked back at him from the glass doors. Nervous eyes, hopeful smile, a boy caught between fear and destiny. His mother's words echoed softly in his mind, "Anak, when you sing, sing like the world is listening to your soul." He took a deep breath, hugged his guitar close and stepped inside. The waiting area buzzed with energy. Contestants practiced their routines, tuned instruments and whispered prayers. Some laughed to hide their fear, others sat in silence, just like him. Miguel found a small corner and pulled out the locket he always carried. Inside was a picture of his father smiling with his arm around a younger version of himself. "This one's for you, Papa," he whispered. His throat tightened. A staff member soon called his name. "Miguel from the Philippines, you're up next." His heart started to race. The corridor to the stage felt like a tunnel stretching into infinity. Each step echoed louder than the last. He could hear the muffled sound of the host speaking to the audience, the laughter, the clapping. Then, the door opened, and a rush of light blinded him. The stage, the crowd, the judges, thousands of eyes looking at one nervous boy. He walked toward the center, clutching his guitar as if it were the only solid thing in the world. Simon Cowell, sitting in his usual calm posture, looked up and asked, "Hello, what's your name?" Miguel's accent immediately gave him away. "My name is Miguel, I'm from the Philippines." The audience clapped warmly. Simon nodded and asked, "And what will you be doing for us today?" "I'll be singing an Elvis song," he said quietly. The judges smiled politely. There had been plenty of Elvis impersonators before, but there was something different about this boy, something pure. The music began. For a heartbeat, Miguel froze. He could almost hear his father whisper, "Don't think, just feel." He closed his eyes and strummed the first chord. The sound was soft, uncertain. Then he began to sing. "Wise men say only fools rush in." The crowd hushed instantly. His voice wasn't just good, it was hauntingly familiar, yet fresh, dripping with emotion. It carried the same soulful tremble that Elvis once had, but behind it was something more raw. The longing of a boy who had carried pain and hope across an ocean. As the song flowed, his confidence grew. Each lyric came alive with a story. The story of a child singing beside his father, of a dream that refused to die, of the courage it took to stand on that stage. By the time he reached the chorus, people had already begun to stand. The camera caught Simon leaning forward, eyebrows raised. Sophia had her hand on her chest. Haiti whispered, "He sounds just like Elvis, but sadder, deeper." The lights warmed around him, reflecting off the white studs of his jacket. His voice soared higher, filling every corner of the hall. He ended the song softly, almost like a prayer. The final note hung in the air for a moment that felt like forever. Then silence broke, replaced by a roar of applause so loud it made him flinch. People stood cheering and clapping. Some were crying. The judges exchanged looks of disbelief. Miguel stood frozen, unsure what to do. He gave a small bow, his face overwhelmed by emotion. Simon spoke first. "Miguel, when you said you were gonna sing an Elvis song, I wasn't sure what to expect. But what you did, that was something magical. You didn't imitate him. You made us feel him again. You brought him back in your own way." Miguel felt tears rising in his eyes. He nodded, trying to speak, but no words came out. Sophia stood up and said, "That was beautiful. You look like a star, and you sing with your heart. I think Elvis would be proud of you tonight." The audience cheered louder. Howie leaned into the microphone. "I've seen many people try to bring Elvis back, but you made us believe he never left. You are something special." Miguel smiled shyly, whispering a soft thank you. The host asked the crowd, should he get the golden buzzer? The chant started almost immediately. "Golden buzzer! Golden buzzer!" The judges laughed, glancing at each other. Then Heidi looked at Miguel, her eyes glistening. "You know what, I think your father is watching right now," she said softly. And with that, she reached forward and slammed the golden buzzer. The world slowed down. A wave of golden confetti exploded from above, filling the stage with shimmering light. Miguel gasped, covering his mouth. His knees gave way and he fell to the floor, laughing and crying at the same time. The music swelled, the crowd screamed, and Simon stood up clapping. Sophie and Howie joined in. The golden flakes swirled around him, catching the stage lights like stars. It looked like a scene from a dream, unreal, breathtaking, perfect. Through the rain of confetti, Miguel could see his mother in the crowd. She was crying uncontrollably, her hands pressed against her face. He waved at her, tears streaming down his cheeks. She mouthed the words, "I'm proud of you." He could almost hear his father's voice again, whispering, "You did it, son." Every struggle, every sleepless night, every tear shed in silence, it all led to this one shining moment. As the golden buzzer confetti settled, the cameras zoomed in on Miguel's face. His tears glimmered under the lights, his eyes filled with disbelief and gratitude. The audience couldn't stop cheering. Some held up flags of the Philippines. The hosts came onstage to hug him. He whispered through his tears, thank you so much." Simon leaned toward the mic one last time and said, "This is what this show is all about. Finding someone who reminds the world what real talent looks like. Miguel, you are a star." Miguel smiled through his tears, nodding. "Thank you, sir," he said softly, his voice trembling. Backstage he stood with his mother as golden confetti stuck to his hair and jacket. He held her hand tightly, whispering, "Ma, we did it." She smiled, her eyes red from crying. "No, Anak, you did it. You made your papa proud." He hugged her tightly, the locket between them pressing against his heart. Outside, the crowd still cheered his name. Reporters waited, fans reached for photos, but Miguel just looked up at the sky, whispering a quiet thank you. That night, social media exploded. Clips of his performance spread everywhere. Filipino Elvis shocks the world. Golden buzzer moment goes viral. Millions watched, cried, and shared his story. Some said his voice was a miracle, others said it reminded them that music has no borders. But for Miguel, none of that mattered. All he could think of was the sound of his father's guitar, the warmth of their little house back home, and how far he had come from those quiet nights to this world stage. When the night finally ended, he sat alone in his hotel room, still in his white jacket, staring at the golden buzzer confetti he had gathered in his hand. He smiled and whispered, "Papa, I made it." Outside the window, the city lights of Los Angeles sparkled. Not just as lights anymore, but as proof that dreams, no matter where they're born, can shine bright enough to touch the world.